Hey guys, and welcome to another Guardians of Wilt-Shire video. You're here with host Luke, and this is another Marvel Monday, episode 2 now. So last one would have been just sort of a quick introduction video. Go and check that out. This one I'm going to start with the proper content, I'd say. And this week I'm going to focus on sort of character reviews. I'm going to start off with the Avengers. So I'm going to do all 4 that come with the starter pack. I'm using the PDF download, I think it's PDF, or Word document from the Marvel and DC Facebook page, as they've got all the character cards on there. So I'm just flick through my tablet and I'll go through them one by one. I'm going to start off alphabetical. Start off with Black Widow. Now Black Widow, I'm not going to talk too much about the rules as such as what each sort of aspect of the character card does. If you go to Blackfire Productions, Adam on there does a good sort of intro video as to when this system first started. So if you go check that out first, probably a good idea if you're new to the rules. And I can just crack on with this and get through it. So first off, level costing, she's 4. So I think she's probably the cheapest model that you can get in the Marvel game. As I go through, you'll sort of see why. But I think for what she can possibly do, she's probably a bit undercosted. So she's power 6, so she can use 6 power in a turn. Speed 5 and 8, so quite quick. Normally the average is 4 and 7. Strength 1, understandable. Attack 6, again about average. Size 2, all human models are size 2. Agility 9, stamina 8, and willpower 7. Skills, she's got infiltrator, so that means during the deployment phase she can deploy anywhere. So sort of the scenario based games such as like Relic and Control the Energy Pillars, and some of the new ones I haven't properly read them, but that infiltrator rule means you can get to the objective first and the game can swing in your favour. She also has strategist, which if I have a quick look, because I can't remember off the top of my head, but it means you get an extra pass. So you can, when it's your turn to sort of activate a model, you can pass it so the opposing player can go again, which can help if you want to save some sort of like 2 big characters to do a lot of big damage at the end of a turn. So that's very useful. She also has acrobat, so to go along with her high agility, which is 9, she can re-roll that if she fails. So with the sort of things like expansive wave attacks or anything like that, where she has to make an agility roll or take full damage, that means she only takes 1. Because this is important with her endurance bar. She only has 9 endurance points. So that's why she's such a low costing model. While she's healthy, her first 2 endurance points, she gets +1 attack. So she's now attack 7, which is awesome. She has no sort of special powers, but she has 3 attacks. So the first sort of standard one, mixed technique, costs 2 power. It's a green attack, so she can do it as many times as you want. Physical, 1 damage, but it has effects. So it could be distract 1, which is -1 to the opponent's physical defense, and then awkwardness 1, which is -1 to the energy defense. So you're probably going to want to activate her first if she's in combat or in base to base with another model. If she gets that off, it makes your other members of the team easier to attack that model. So if you come up against, I don't know, something high, so maybe like Colossus where there's 20 defense, or something with a high energy defense like Nova, getting that down even by 1 can help other members of your team get damage on that model. She also has Bullet Barrage, which is a range attack, 12-inch range, so decent range on it. Again, another physical attack, 1 damage. If you overload without the extra dice, it causes +1 damage. So if she does that when she's healthy with her sort of +1 attack, 2 damage, she starts to become very, very useful. Her last, that's a green one. She can do it as many times as she wants. So with her 2 6 power, she can get off 3 times maybe, which 3 damage from range, sorted. She also has another attack, another 2 costing attack, blue this time. So only once a turn. It's called Widow's Bite. So this is an energy attack, an electrical one. Again, 1 damage. So this is where her sort of level costing is justified. She's not a very big damage output character. Widow's Bite is 6-inch range, so a lot shorter, but the overload effect is where it could become useful. So if you overload for the effect rather than the extra dice, you get Stun 2, which reduces the target model's power by 2 for that turn. Is it for that turn or until they activate next? I'm guessing until the end of the turn. Which, if you get that off first against someone who's got a lot of power, so like your big characters like Hulk or Sentry or Magneto or something like that, that loss of 2 power can seriously limit what they can do in that turn. So as I said, for her costing, I think she can be very useful. I've not tried her in a game, but I think as long as you can keep her away from heavy hitters with her 9 endurance points, if you can keep her away from that, with her 12-inch Bullet Barrage and a 6-inch Widow's Bite, and her plus her 7 attack when she's healthy, you're laughing really. So that's Black Widow. Not a lot to talk about with her, just because she's so low cost and doesn't have many sort of special effects, which we'll come onto next with Captain America. Captain America, Steve Rogers. So I'll quickly run through his stat line. So he's power 8, so that's 2 more than Black Widow. Speed is 4 and 7. Strength 3, so you can start throwing human-sized models around, which is good. Attack 7, size 2, agility 9, stamina 9, willpower 9. Nice stat line. Costing level 7, so he's quite cheap when I start talking about what he can do. I didn't go through Black Widow's defenses. Black Widow's defenses are good as well. So she's 17 physical, 17 energy, 15 supernatural, and 15 mental. Above average physical and energy, which is a lot of what you're going to experience. So that's good. Black Widow, that's why I think she's good for her costing. So coming on to Captain America's defenses. Physical 17, again above average, really good. And then energy, supernatural and mental 15. Bog standard, maybe slightly above average for supernatural and mental. Normally you see sort of the 14 and 13s on those two. So he's quite durable. His skills, he has Acrobat. So again, the same as Black Widow, you can re-roll those agility rolls with his 9 base value, which is good. He also has Leadership 6. So that means everyone who has a power level less than him within 6 inches gains an additional power. So if you think back to Black Widow, she is power 6, and then some of the other Avengers as well. Normally his power level is 7. His power level is 8. So he is a leader. He is Captain America. He is the leader of the Avengers. So he gives everyone within 6 inches that +1 power, which can be very, very useful, especially for overloading and improving defenses. So you want to, he's a support hero basically. We'll come on to why that is as well later on. Oh, excuse me. He also has Soldier, so he can re-roll his stamina tests when he's for knockouts and stuff like that, which is good. Agile, which means he can make another movement per round. So if you want to use 4 power, you can get him 14 inches up the board. Say if you want to go help support another hero that might have been thrown away from you, you can get there quite quickly and support him, which is good. He also has heroic action. I believe this was sort of added in the FAQ. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that means, it's actually not in the rulebook. But basically it means his first attack of his activation, if it comes off, gets +1 damage. Which, when I come to onto his attacks, is very, very useful. So we'll start with those. Actually, let's talk about his endurance bar. He's got 14 endurance. That's 5 more than Black Widow, and he's healthy for 6 of those points. When he gets down to the sort of pale, he gets +1 power, so he's now power 9. It's only when he's into the red that he sort of suffers, which is -1 power, so he's down to power 7. So for a lot of the game, he is very solid. Attacks. So his first one here is called Shield Bounce. That costs 3 power and is a once per turn move. It's a physical attack, damage 2, which is solid, average, yeah, and it's range 8. So he's got a range attack. So basically, he's Captain America. He throws his shields about and he just knocks people out. Effects, it's irresistible. So people with sort of resistance to physical attacks, such as, I believe, Colossus, something like Nova, they don't benefit from that. So they're going to take 2 damage from that if it comes off. He has the overload effect. If you don't choose to do the extra dice, is called Ricochet. So if this attack hits, roll to hit another model within 3 inches of this target. So with his attack 7, and if you're coming up against sort of low physical defense models, and they're all sort of in a line for some reason, he could realistically cause 2 damage on 2 models quite easily. Which sort of mid-game, when startup models have taken some damage and nearing the pale or nearing the red, can be very useful in knocking those models out. So that's a good attack. His sort of melee attacks are where he sorts of falls down. He got attack called Meteor Kick. That's 2 power, green, so as many times as he wants. 1 damage, that's it. So that's a basic sort of strike. He has Shield Strike. Again, 2 power. This is only once per round. Physical, 1 damage. Irresistible. So you can see a sort of pattern there. His shield causes irresistible damage, which it should. It's vibranium, hardest metal, sorted. Overload rule, stun 1. Possibly you go for that if you try and couple it with Black Widow's Bite, stun 3. That can seriously limit what a model can do. You're probably not going to do it unless the model's already been stunned, just because it's only stun 1. It's not going to make too much of a difference. If anything, it's going to stop them overloading attack. Could be useful, but you're going to want to get that 1 damage, and if you overload with the extra dice, could be critical, 2 damage. Now this is where Captain America's support qualities really shine. He has, I'll start with sort of the more simple ones. Avengers Assemble. So it costs 1 power, so all his special powers cost 1. This is a red one, so the first time I've talked about this. This is once per game. So once and that's it. It's a range of 8, and it pushes all friendly characters in range up to 4 inches closer to this character. So for whatever reason, if models get pushed D8 from an attack or thrown, he can use this to bring them together, Avengers assemble, and they can then benefit from his leadership. For the cost of 1 power, if that does happen, you're going to want to get it off. Get all your models together, especially if you're sort of talking the higher level games, so sort of the 50-point plus. You want to get your Black Widow, your Iron Man, your Black Panther. I think Vision is a lower power than him as well. Hawkeye. Get all those guys in, and then they get the extra plus 1 power to do what they need to do, which is brilliant. And then we come on to Bodyguard. Bodyguard you can do as many times as you want, and range of 2. So this is where his support sort of mentality, his characteristic comes through. So when a friendly model in range becomes the target of an attack, this model becomes the new target. So with his physical defense of 17, you're going to want to, if a model gets into base-to-base combat and he's within 2 inches, you're going to want to protect that model, especially if it's very vulnerable, if it's knocked down or knocked out for whatever reason. He can get in there and protect it until they can stand back up. He's probably most of the time going to be okay. He's not going to take too much damage, except from sort of the higher attack model. So if you're talking about Gamora or Drax when he's on Fury, or Hulk even when he's on Fury, if you can get that Bodyguard in, it's going to really help support a vulnerable model. His last special power is called Shield Block, and this is once per turn, range of 4. If you make, make an agility roll. If it passes, cancel 1 physical or energy attack whose target is in range. Again, so it's basically a bodyguard, but with his shield, and he can cancel out with his agility. With his acrobat as well, is going to come off more often than not. There was a sort of, the FAQ has sort of changed this. I think before it could cancel out a spray attack in 1. This is just 1 attack in that sort of opponent's attack. So if you're having a spray attack, so like with Rocket, and you've got 3 models of yours that are affected, it only cancels out 1, which makes sense. There was sort of big confusion when that first started, that how can he block, protect potentially 4 models maybe from 1 spray attack. So this has been sort of brought down a bit, which makes sense. Otherwise, he is very, very undercosted. At level 7, I still think he's very, very useful for what he costs. Any Avengers list, you're going to see him, I think. So that is Captain America. Next up, scroll through, sorry, they're in alphabetical order for all of the different models, I believe, is Iron Man. So Tony Stark. It says Anthony, but he's Tony. So his stat line is power 7, so he will benefit from Captain America's leadership from this starter set. Speed 4, 7, and then 14. So this is the first time we've sort of seen the 3-phase movement that I've talked about with these characters. Now I'll come onto that with his skills. He's strength 4, which is very, very useful for those grab and throws, especially against the size 3 models. Maybe, yeah, size 3 models and cars and things like that. You can throw them and cause 3 damage to an enemy model, which is awesome. Attack 6, so that's average. But while he's healthy, he does get +1. So he attacks 7 at the start of the game. Brilliant. Size 2, standard. Agility 7, stamina 8, willpower 9. So those last 3, about average. Willpower probably a little bit more higher than average, but still pretty solid. Skills, fly. So that's where his 14-inch movement comes in. Fly means you can move further, but also means you get +1. Is it just physical? You get +1 defense against melee attacks, which is awesome. So I'll come on to his defenses and that will show you why it will help. He also has total vision, so he can see anywhere on the board, even if it doesn't have line of sight. So if you've got trees or bushes in the way, those with stealth or even invisible, he can see them, which is great. Scientific, which means he can re-roll his willpower tests if he fails. Brilliant. With his 9 willpower, that's good. And he also has metallic. Now, when this model receives stun, it is reduced by 1. So a lot of the time you're going to see stun 1 or 2. Stun 1 doesn't matter, which is great for his power level. Stun 2, again, is going to be 1, so it's not too much of an issue. That does come into play a little bit more when you talk about Magneto, because obviously he can throw metal quite easily. Haven't talked about his character card yet, but he basically can throw metal models around the board like they're nothing. So that's where he's going to be affected against Magneto. But other than that, it's not too bad. Level 7, standard. Defenses, physical 14. So that's relatively low. So that's where he gets, when he has fly, he gets the +1, makes him a bit more durable. Energy defense 16, pretty good, pretty good. Supernatural 13, that's probably average across the whole Marvel game. I know the last two I've talked about a 15, but 13 is probably average, 14 at the most is average. And then his mental defense is 18, which is brilliant because the mental attacks you're going to face in this game have a lot of nasty effects that can really hinder a model. So the high mental defense is great. Talk about his special powers first. He only has one, and it's a once per game called Electricity Recharge. And this basically says, if this character receives electrical damage this round, he recovers 3 additional power counters at the next power phase. So if you come up against, if you come up against Black Widow or Thor has an electrical attack, just off the top of my head, he will get, if he's damaged, he will get 3 additional power next turn. So his power is up to 10. So with his attacks, I'll come on to now, he can get a lot of damage out if he needs to. Talk about his basic attack as many times as he wants. Repulsor Blast. Costs 2 power. It's energy type, 2 damage, 8-inch range, and you can overload for +1 damage. So if he does get damaged by electricity, he could possibly get that off 3 times, which is 6 damage. That can seriously bring a model straight into the pale of their endurance bar, which is great. Next attack is Micro Missiles. 3 power this time, once per turn. Energy and fire type. So if you've got a model that's weak against fire, such as Groot, the damage, which is 2 as normal, is doubled to 4. So 2 as standard is still good. It's 10-inch range, so that sort of plays down why it's such the same damage as Repulsor Blast. It's explosive 1, so all models, scenery, everything within 1 inch takes 2 damage as well. Unless they pass an agility roll, I think. And it's also homing, which means if you don't have line of sight, it can still, because it's missile, isn't it? It can still go around and still attack, which is brilliant. Couples in with his total vision, so he can see a model, and even though a normal attack wouldn't get through, he can still send the missile around and hopefully get 2 damage. Brilliant. He also has a once per game attack called Unibeam. This costs 5 power, energy attack, 4 damage this time, 12-inch range, pierce 3, and penetrative. So penetrative means that if you've got a model behind cover, such as a wall or a tree or something, it's ignored, which is brilliant. It does mean the scenery object will take damage as well, but it doesn't block the attack. So the wall, the tree is then destroyed and it goes straight through to the model basically. And pierce as well means once it hits the target of the attack, it will go on the extra distance. So this is pierce 3, it'll go on extra 3 distance in a straight line. So if you've got a model and you place Iron Man right, you could get the next model behind as well, which is brilliant. So that's 4 damage possibly on 2 models. Huge, huge. So that is Iron Man. His endurance bar is, I think, 1 less than Captain America. While he's healthy, +1 attack. In the pale, -1 power. And then in the red, -2 power, -1 attack, and -fly. So once he is damaged, he is very vulnerable. You want to keep him back with his ranged attacks and keep him out of harm's way. Finally, the last hero in the Avengers starter set is Thor. Let me just scroll through and find him. Now Thor is the big hitter in this set, and I'll explain that when I get to him. So Thor Odinson, level 12. So this is sort of the first big hero that I'm going to talk about. We've seen 7s, 2 7s and a 4 so far. Thor is 12. So he costs more than Captain America and Black Widow put together. As I go through, you'll see why. He's power 8. Solid. So he won't benefit from Captain America's leadership, but he doesn't really need to. He has speed 4, 7, and 14. So obviously he has fly. Strength 5. Strength 5. That's huge. He can throw tanker trucks, he can throw small houses and cause absolute chaos on a model. Attack 7. Good. Size 2. Agility 8. Stamina 12. And willpower 8. So his agility and willpower is probably standard. Stamina is where he comes into play. He's not going to get knocked out easily. So his skills, obviously he's got the fly, so he gets the +1 again defense in combat, and he can move 14 inches in one turn if he chooses. Heroic action, so we've already talked about that, the +1 damage for his first attack. Great. And immunity to electrical attacks, which you're not gonna see too often, but it's a nice sort of themed skill that he has. He is the god of thunder, so he's not going to be damaged by it, which is brilliant. As I've said, level 12, very beefy. Defenses, physical 17, energy 17, supernatural 15, and mental 14. All very, very good. Mental, slightly on the low end when you compare it to other defenses, but for mental, that is good. So with his 18, with his 17 physical, and if he's fly, because he's got fly in combat, he's going to be 18, which is huge. If you think the average attack is 6, that model has to roll 13 on their dice roll to hit. So even when that's overloaded, that's still not a certainty, which is great. Endurance bar is huge. What's that? 18 points of endurance. Huge. So while he's healthy, he has +1 power. So he's power 9 while he's healthy. Great. In the pale, he loses that, and he loses an attack as well. So he's down to attack 6 in the pale. Average, but for a hero like Thor, you're going to want him to be healthy as long as you can. And in the red is where he really suffers. -2 attack, so he's down to attack 5. -2 power, and -1 to all defenses. So you don't want him in the red, basically. Special powers. He's got one. It's called Hammer of Storms. So this costs 2 and is once per turn. The model gains +2 defenses against all ranged attacks until the end of the round. So if you do that early on, when he can't really attack any other model, but he can be attacked. If you do that, he's up to a 19 defense as standard, 20 with fly for physical. Nothing's going to hit him. He has Colossus level sort of defenses, which is very, very useful early on in the game. Maybe even towards the end as well, if you've got the enemy's only got ranged attacks to use. So that is a very, very useful special power. Only for 2 power as well. It's huge. Attacks. We go on to his green attack, which costs 3, which is why he needs the big power. This is a supernatural attack. So the first time talking about this, and it's 2 damage. It has to be in combat, and it's push 2, but it can't be overloaded. But like I said, when you think about models' mental defenses, I said 13 and 14 is the average. And with his attack 7, he needs to roll an 8 most of the time. 7 or 8 most of the time. With 2 dice is average, really. So that's 2 damage reliably, I'd say. Also push 2 as well, which is where his next attack can help as well. So this is for Midgard. Sorry, the other attack was called for Asgard. This is called for Midgard. Costs 4. It's once per turn. Physical attack. Damage 4. 6-inch melee attack. And its effects is push 1d8. If you overload, it's explosive 2. So if you do for Asgard first, the model is pushed back, which can then lead to a for Midgard. With his attack 7, he can overload for the extra dice and cause 4 damage. So that's possibly 6 damage a turn that he can reliably cause. So that's putting most models into their pale, and they're losing their bonuses for whatever they get. He also has another attack called Bring the Thunder. This costs 5 and is a once per game attack. It's energy, electrical, 4 damage, and is a 20-inch range. 20-inch. If you're playing on a 3x3 board, you can target a model that's the other side, who he could be camping on a objective, or you need to target him to get a victory point. That's 4 damage. So if he's running away because he's injured, you can do that. He also has overload stun 2, but you're going to probably want to overload for the dice and get the critical for 5 damage. That can easily knock out or incapacitate a model and really help you get the victory points for certain scenarios. So Thor is a beast. He's 12 levels because of his damage output, basically. He can cause 6 damage a turn quite easily. So that's probably put in 2 turns, that's incapacitating a model. Just one guy incapacitating a model is huge. So that brings me to the end of the Avengers starter set. Sorry if I've droned on a little bit, I've got a few things wrong. I am quite new to the game. I've not actually played a proper game yet. I've only had sort of practice, sort of scenario based things. So if I've got anything wrong, please comment so I can get it right and not repeat myself. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. This is sort of going to be the format for my character reviews. Next up will probably be the Guardians of the Galaxy box set, just because I've got 2 big videos out straight away, and then I can focus on sort of maybe 1 or 2 characters in the future. So yeah, if you like the video, make sure you comment, like, share and subscribe. Like our Facebook page, and we'll see you very soon.